There are a lot of things that I dislike about consoles that I only really started to dislike when I switched to PC. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate consoles, but there are a few business decisions that Sony and Microsoft implement that I actually have come to hate. The two that bother me the most are PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live. Now, I'm not going to let my bias get in the way here, but I will share my opinions as we go. As I'm sure everyone who's watching this video knows, Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus are subscription services that allow gamers to play with their friends. It wasn't until the 8th generation of consoles that Sony and Microsoft set up incentives to try to entice more people to purchase this service. And I've never quite understood how this system was actually put into place, and how people actually thought there was value in this system. But I'm not making this video to bash paid online, more to try to understand and see if this service is truly worth the asking price. Let's first delve into what this service is. If you have a console, you may have been inclined to purchase PlayStation Plus, Sony's service, which allows you to play games online with your friends, gives you access to game discounts on the market, allows you some online save storage, and gives you a select number of games per month. With Xbox Live, Microsoft's service, these subscriptions allow you to play online with your friends, pins you online against players of equal skill, allows you to chat with one or more person at a time, gives you access to game demos or other early content, and you get a select number of games each month. Now, I kind of want to pick this apart a little bit because as I read those, I only see a contrived system implemented for nothing more than to take money. See, Sony and Microsoft's consoles operate on a DRM. This means we can compare their DRMs to others like Steam, Origin, and Uplay. The first benefit you seem to get is playing games online with your friends. But on all these other DRMs, this is free, unlocked. There's no paywall here. Not only that, but the experience is pretty much the same, if not better, on the PC. If Sony and Microsoft have servers they need to pay for, why is it these other DRMs aren't asking for the same thing? Why are they thriving without that money? It seems like Sony and Microsoft are locking the consumer away from something that's pretty much necessary because they know their consumers will just pay up. And this is a huge thing that I really dislike. Now, I have heard before that Sony and Microsoft need that money to host game servers, but this is not actually the case, as it's the game developers who host those servers. And even if Sony and Microsoft did help out, you'd think Valve, Uplay, and Origin would be asking for the same thing, but they don't. On the flip side of this, however, both Sony and Microsoft offer game discounts. If some of that $60 goes toward this, that's not a bad setup. They also boast free games. I dislike calling them that because you're actually paying for them, but according to them and most of the other statistics based on the worth of said games, this could also take a bit of that $60, just to ensure it happens for the consumer. But I don't know if that's actually happening here or not, because a lot of these games you see given out are generally from smaller studios and indie developers, who would simply be happy giving copies away just so people would play their games, and make a name for themselves. One of the more annoying things about this is Sony and Microsoft do not tell you what that money goes to, if it even goes to anything at all. And this is what annoys me, scares me. How hard would it be for Valve, or EA, or Ubisoft to say, well, we want $30 a month if you want to continue using our DRM, or playing with your friends online. We're not going to tell you why we need it, we just want to take it. Thank you. I only wonder how many people would just give in without questions. On the topic of the free games thing, paying a subscription for that also doesn't make sense, as on every DRM I've ever been on, they too have just given games away. I didn't pay money for that at all, so those were actually free. Now, another thing on the side of Sony is the online storage. I know that can't be cheap. Perhaps some of the money goes there. When it comes to Xbox, they allocate servers for their gold members so they can play with those of equal skill. At least, that's what they say. I have no idea if that's actually happening, but regardless, that in itself could cost a few bucks. However, going against them again, they lock some really contrived things behind this paywall that makes me think they only have it up for money alone. Makes me feel like this money is simply pocketed. For example, Microsoft restricting you from talking to more than one person at a time. What the hell is that? I could simply call 2 people on my cell phone. I could open my laptop and talk to as many people as I want to on Skype or Discord. Why do I have to pay for such a tiny feature? Same with the game discounts one. Steam, Origin, and Uplay all have discounts every day for no cost. HumbleBundle.com has a new bundle every week. These are all free resources, and when compared to Sony and Microsoft's paywall, this seems like a, hey, we're not offering enough incentive, let's add this in as well. But there's also one more thing I'd like to talk about in regards to this. I hear it said in argument all the time that Sony and Microsoft develop their consoles. This costs a lot of money, and that $60 a year allows them to design and sell consoles at a net loss. However, when the PlayStation 4 first came out, it was reported to cost $381 to manufacture. The console was then sold for $399. Now, $18 doesn't seem like a lot to make off every console, but when you sell over 1 million units within the first 24 hours, you're making quite a bit of money there. This also goes for the Xbox One. Different number, similar stats. Okay, so I've gone into the pros and cons of the incentives, but I haven't yet touched the glaring issues. See, when it comes to most services, you're typically offered a choice. Do you like Field & Stream magazine? Subscribe to the newsletter and receive one each week. Want to watch movies anytime, anywhere? Subscribe to Netflix and watch anything they offer. But when it comes to Sony and Microsoft service, it's really not a choice subscription more than it is a forced one. And here's why. When you purchase a console these days, you kind of expect to be playing games online. Most every multiplat is either an online game or has some online elements. Sure, there are a ton of single-player games, but I'd argue that more than half the time someone purchases a console, it's because they want to play games with their friends. And I feel Sony and Microsoft know that. Imagine this. You go to a restaurant and order a meal. You get a hot steamy plate, but you have to purchase the knife and fork subscription card. Everyone knows you use the utensils, but this contrived setup ensures the restaurant gets more money. They know full well you want the silverware. They'll pretend you don't actually need it and may offer other little incentives like if you order the silverware card, you can also have your choice of sauces, dips, and seasonings for free. This is what this feels like. This is why bottled water exists, and I'm certain this is why Sony and Microsoft locked that feature away. Okay, Barry, if you're so smart, how would you fix this oh-so-broken system? Well, I think the PS3 had the right idea. At least they were headed in a good direction. From the day you purchased the console, you could play any game you wanted. You could play it online with friends or offline alone, all for free. However, if you wanted insider information on new games being developed, special demos, digital comics and magazines, real incentives, true incentives that was an actual choice for the consumer, you could opt in for that. This system should not interfere with your gaming experience. It should not lock you in or out of anything, and that's what it does today. This is a huge step back for gamers, and it's bad for the consumer. It also makes Sony and Microsoft lazy. The less they have to do to take money from you, the less they will do. It's simple logic. If it were me, I'd simply develop a system that made the price justify the service. You should get game demo access, you should get special insider info, and it should be your choice. The last thing I would fix is the subscription pay setup. See, PlayStation Plus is set up like this. 1 month of PlayStation Plus is $9.99, 3 months is $24.99, and 1 year is $59.99. Believe it or not, Xbox Live Gold's prices are the exact same. Problem with this, if you're a light gamer, this really kicks you in the balls. Let's say I'm the kind of gamer who plays games 2 times a month. A full $60 is not going to seem worth my investment. $25 for 3 months seems okay, but I'd prefer to just jump in today and hang with my buddy. So I'll go for the 1 month, $10. I purchase it and use it for the night. Maybe get on once more as I have a busy schedule, let's say work and college. Next time I get on, I have to pay for that subscription again. I didn't get my money's worth at all, and I end up paying more. Work with the consumer here. I'd allow a day function, $1 a day, or pay by hours. It's just so easy for people like this to spend more than they want just because they're a casual gamer. Again, I don't dislike consoles, but Sony and Microsoft are so greedy, and when I compare their services to others in different markets, the intent is just so transparent. Is $60 a year worth it? To me, it's not, but it's not wrong to think otherwise. If you actually like this service and you feel the price is justified, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's not justifiable to me, and it's actually one of the only reasons I refuse to pick up a console. I'll play games at 30 FPS, I'll play on my couch, I love my controller. But if I were some sort of entertainment or media creator, I sure as hell wouldn't beg for a subscription.